Hey friends, Elizabeth here from Plant-Based Bride, back again with another video, and today is day 4 of Plantmas and also our fourth part of our 4-part series all about the behind the scenes of being a YouTuber. Today's video is all about how I personally make money as a full-time YouTuber, my various streams of income, and the percentage of my income that comes from each stream. I get so many questions about how I actually earn money as a content creator, as a YouTuber, how monetization works. So hopefully this video will answer at least some of those for you and satisfy your curiosity to see kind of a general breakdown of how I earn my income. And for any of you who are content creators yourself or wanting to become content creators, hopefully this will kind of give you a place to start with figuring out your own income streams and making sure that you are being paid for the work you're doing. So let's bring in the pie chart of my income. So I have 5 main streams of income, and those are the 5 that I'm going to talk about in this video. So there is Google Adsense, Patreon, brand deals and sponsorships, affiliate income, and my shop. As you can see, the biggest piece of the pie here is affiliate income. Now, this is just looking at the past year, 2021. 2021 was a bit of an outlier for me when it comes to affiliate income, since I was on the Art Journal of Design team for the vast majority of the year and also designed products to be put out as part of a collaboration with them. So in past years and probably in future years, this affiliate portion of the pie will probably not be quite so large. But this past year in 2021, affiliate income was 60.7% of my income. The next biggest piece of the pie is quite a bit smaller. It's Adsense for 16%. So this is ads through Google AdSense that YouTube helps to place in front of, behind, and throughout my videos. Next is Patreon at 12.5%. So that's direct support from a selection of you who enjoy my videos and want to get extra perks and more access to me, and also just support what I do here. Next, we have sponsorships or brand deals coming in at 10.3%. This is directly working with brands for a sponsored post or a sponsorship within a video. And lastly, that tiny, tiny little piece of the pie is my shop, coming in at 0.5%. My shop has never been the main piece of the pie for me. It's something that I sort of started as a passion project, and it's always been a bit of a side hustle, especially in the last couple of years. So I'm okay with my shop being a tiny little piece of the pie. So now that we've looked at the whole chart, let's break down each of these 5 income streams. So starting with Google AdSense, because this is, I think, what most people think of as income when it comes to YouTubers. And this is the first stream of income that started for me. I was able to become part of the YouTube Partnership Program, which is the program you have to join to be able to get paid many, many years ago, way before I was treating YouTube as a job. And it was just a little extra shopping money here and there. So this ad revenue comes from the ads that YouTube places on your videos. Typically, you'll see them before and after videos, and also a couple placed within a video. You also might see ads beside or underneath a video. These are advertisers that are paying Google to find videos for them to advertise next to, and Google and YouTube take a portion of that money paid by advertisers and split it with the creator. The amount of money earned from these ads can vary wildly. There's something called CPM, and different creators have different CPMs based on a whole host of factors. But a factor that's talked about a lot is how advertiser friendly your channel is. 2 creators could have a video get the exact same number of views, have the exact same number of people watch the ads all the way through or click on them, and still earn a different amount if their channels have a different CPM. There's also variation when it comes to how your audience reacts to the ads. If you skip an ad, the creator is not going to get paid for it. You have to watch an ad or click on an ad for that to count as a view or engagement for the creator. There's some basic eligibility requirements for joining the YouTube Partnership Program, and this changes periodically. I know it's changed pretty significantly since I first joined, but as of right now, there are a few requirements you need to meet to be eligible. I think a lot of people who are not YouTubers themselves think of AdSense as this huge source of income for YouTubers. And it certainly can be for the biggest YouTubers out there who are getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views on every video. But for most of us creators who are much smaller, AdSense can be pretty negligible in our day-to-day lives. It's also incredibly unreliable because it depends on so many outside factors that don't have anything to do with you. Your CPM can change. change, global situations that affect advertiser budgets can change, your audience's habits can change, how often they watch your videos, and if they do watch your videos, whether they watch the ads all the way through or click on them. So many different things are at play here, and it ends up meaning that AdSense is not really a reliable source of income for most YouTubers. I know from my own history that there's sort of a baseline that I always tend to hit even on the slowest months. So I sort of semi-rely on that base amount, and anything over it I treat as a bonus. AdSense is the second biggest piece of the pie for me, coming in at around 16% of my income in this past year. But again, that number can be kind of all over the place. Especially in the last couple of years, AdSense has been kind of weird and it hasn't necessarily followed the same pattern that it seemed to in all of the previous years before 2020. So who knows what's going to happen in 2022 and onward, but that is kind of the lowdown on AdSense. The next income stream I want to talk about is sponsorships and brand deals. This is another one that is very often thought of when people think about YouTubers, content creators, influencers, if we have to use that word. And I personally have a bit of a complicated love-hate relationship with sponsorships and brand deals. I think a lot of creators do, because they can pay really well and they can be a great addition to your wheelhouse of income as a creator, and they can bring really cool opportunities. But they also can be a lot of extra work and a lot of extra hassle and can be super stressful. There's communicating back and forth with a brand, often for several weeks before getting to the negotiation stage where you'll have to negotiate for your rate, agreeing on terms, signing contracts, and then of course creating the actual sponsored portion of a video, fulfilling the entire brief, making sure you hit all of the talking points, submitting it and getting it approved, which can be a complicated process sometimes. And brands that sponsor YouTubers often do not pay very quickly. On average, you'll have to wait at least 45 days from the published date to get paid, but it can be even longer. So again, for 2021, sponsors were about 10.3% of my income pie. In past years, sponsorships have taken up a bigger piece of the pie for me, but I decided this year to take a little bit of a step back and do fewer sponsorships just because, as I mentioned, they can be very stressful and a lot of work. A question I've been asked a lot about sponsorships is whether sponsors reach out to you or if you reach out to the sponsor. And in my experience personally, it has typically been that brands have reached out to me, or PR companies that work with brands have reached out to me via email to pitch a sponsorship rather than me reaching out to a brand, though there have been a couple times that I have felt a particular brand would be a great fit for my channel or for a particular video, and I have reached out to them. You certainly can reach out to brands about sponsorships, but keep in mind you may not hear back, which sometimes can be frustrating, but from the other side, I don't respond to every email I get asking if I'd be interested in a sponsorship because I get so many, and I imagine that brands are having the same experience from their end. Another question I get asked a lot is how sponsorships work. What is the actual process of doing a sponsorship? And this can vary slightly from sponsorship to sponsorship or between different brands, but almost every time the process is that someone from the company or from a PR firm that represents the company will send me an email saying that they enjoy my channel, they think that they'd be a good fit and they'd like to sponsor a video. Sometimes they'll have more specifics in the email, like the rate they're offering or a specific time frame or maybe a specific type of video they want to sponsor. Sometimes none of that information is included and it's just a very vague, "we like you, we should work together sometime" sort of email. I'll email back if I'm interested and we can get to talking via email. Usually through this process, we'll figure out all of those details. If there's a specific date range they want for publishing, if there's a particular type of video they were looking for, what their expectations are for a sponsorship, and also, of course, the rate. Some brands will come in with an offer to start, which I always appreciate as a creator because it's nice to kind of see where they're starting from, but many brands will not, and they will ask you for your rate. And this can be one of the hardest things as an independent creator, trying to figure out how much to charge. And this is a question I get so often, and it's very hard to answer because there are so many different factors that go into how much you can charge. Size of your following, your engagement rate, dictate the types of videos that you make, the quality of the videos that you make, and how much work you're going to put into it, the demographics of your audience and whether they are an ideal fit for a particular brand or not. And all of these things kind of come together to somehow come up with a rate that the brand feels is fair for what they're getting. My biggest advice here is to try to do research to figure out a good range for rates for yourself. And one of the best resources I found for this is Social Blue Book. I'll link them in the description box. They're what I used earlier on in my career when I first started doing sponsorships to figure out what I should charge. And I periodically will check in and see as my channel grows, as my stats change, just to check in, see where I'm at in comparison to what Social Blue Book recommends. I think it's a really helpful service and it gives you a really good jumping off point to figure out how much you should charge. I also feel like it helps a lot to have a media kit. Media kits, or rate cards, some people call them, are just a PDF file with information about you, your channel, the audience demographics, so age breakdown, gender breakdown, and location breakdown, engagement rates, views, subscriber or follower counts, all of sort of the main information that they need to kind of get a gauge of who you are as a creator and what you're bringing to the table, as well as your rates. So on my media kit, I include my rates for Instagram and YouTube. And when it comes to YouTube specifically, I include my rate for a regular sponsored video. So what you usually think of as a sponsored video, a 1 to 2 minute mention about a brand, maybe a repeated call to action at the end, and the rest of the video doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the brand. So I have a rate for that, which is what I would consider a regular sponsored video, a sponsored mention. And then I have a dedicated sponsored video, which is a video that is made entirely for a particular brand. The whole thing is about a product or the brand's offering in some way or completely in partnership with them throughout the entire thing. That is a different rate. I update my media kit regularly just to make sure that my follower counts are up to date, my engagement rate. Every couple months, I'll check and make sure that my audience demographics have stayed about the same, and they pretty much always do. And I also update my rates usually once to twice a year. I've put together a little downloadable file of resources for this video that my patrons will have access to. And part of that file is going to be an example media kit. So if you're watching this video and you really want to see what a media kit could look like, if you need more examples, that is there for patrons. You can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Once you've agreed upon a rate and what you're giving in return, so how many minutes you're going to be speaking for, what is involved in this sponsored mention, what you're getting out of it and what they're getting out of it, the brand will write up a contract and send it your way. You should review it thoroughly, make sure you understand everything that is in the contract, understand what you are agreeing to, and then both parties sign it and you are ready to go. Once you've produced the content, you upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video, send the link along to the brand or submit it to a form depending on the brand, and they will look over it, make sure it fits the guidelines, make sure they're happy with it. If they are, they'll give you the go ahead and you can publish on your agreed upon publish date. And if there's something they need changed, they'll let you know. You can do an edit, re-upload, submit it for approval again. They'll take another look. Most brands expect the ability to have at least 1 or 2 edits on a video, though in my experience, 99% of the time, no edits are needed. Almost every single time, the video that I submit is approved and we're good to go, as long as you are very careful to follow the brief that they send along, follow the guidelines, make sure you hit all of the talking points, show what they want shown. You should be good to go the first time around. Once the video has gone live, you can submit an invoice, and at some point, eventually in the future, you'll get paid. So that's kind of the general process of doing sponsorships. There are some other ways to get sponsorships. There are quite a few websites that help to connect creators to brands. I don't really use any of those websites. I find that usually I don't really find brands that I align with on them, but they can be a good way to kind of get started, especially as a smaller channel. And that brings me to another question I get asked a lot, which is, do I take every sponsorship that's offered to me? And or how do I decide what sponsorships to take and what sponsorships not to take? And the answer to the first part is no, I do not. I don't take 99% of the sponsorship opportunities that come my way. Most of them are completely irrelevant to my channel, or they're not brands that I believe in. I wouldn't use their products personally, or I don't align with their business practices or their values. For example, I refused a sponsorship by a company that makes leather handbags because I'm vegan and I don't endorse the use of leather. So there's many examples examples of companies who have reached out to work with me, who I have refused to work with. I make it a priority to work with brands that I'm already familiar with, that I already use and love their products. Those are the easiest yeses from me, especially when they're products that I think will be relevant to my audience, that I'm excited to talk to my audience about, that I think they'll want to use. Now, I will consider working with a company that I haven't necessarily used their product before, as long as they are willing to send it to me with enough time for me to use it and make sure I do like it, I am happy with it, before moving forward with the sponsorship. And I have had a couple brands who have agreed to that, who have been willing to give me the time to try something out for long enough to know if I actually like it, if it actually works before doing the sponsorship. But if you ask a brand about that and they refuse to give you the time to try it and make sure that you like it and that you feel comfortable promoting it, then they're probably not a company you want to work with anyway. Another question I was asked was, what do sponsors look for? And I can't fully answer that because I'm not a sponsor, I'm not a brand, but from my experience on my side, it does seem like they typically are looking at two things. The first is the numbers. So your follower count, your views, your engagement. And then the other side is something a little bit more nebulous, and that is who you are as a creator, your niche, the kinds of videos you make. It's your personality, how you present yourself, how you film your videos, how you talk about brands when you do sponsorships. All of those things together kind of create a package that a brand is attracted to and wants to work with. Another question I was asked was how to negotiate rates. And honestly, this is really hard. I hate negotiating with a burning passion. And a lot of creators, especially larger creators, have managers who will do negotiating for them, help them get the best rate. I don't have a manager. I do it by myself. And I don't love to negotiate. It makes me pretty uncomfortable, to be honest, but it's just part of the job. It's part of getting paid. And I think my best advice is just to do your research when you're coming up with your rate in the first place, and be sure of your rate. Pick a rate that you feel comfortable with, that you believe is truly fair for what you have to offer and how much work is going to go into producing this sponsorship. And once you have that rate that you feel comfortable with, that you believe is fair and values you as a creator, as an individual, as a creative, then you have to be willing to stand behind yourself, to stand up for yourself, and to potentially walk away if you're being undervalued by a brand. If a brand comes in way lower than your rate and is not willing to budge even $1, then either they have a budget that is too small to accommodate where you are currently in your life, in your career, and maybe it'll be a better fit at a later date, or maybe they're trying to take advantage of you. And sadly, that second scenario happens pretty often. So you just have to be sure of yourself and stand up for yourself and be willing to walk away from a potential deal if you feel like they're not trying to meet you in the middle. You can obviously also work with brands who have a smaller budget than your typical rate, but that's a decision you have to come to on your own and figure out what you're comfortable with. And remember that your time and effort and talent and creativity have value, and you have to make sure that you're not underselling and undervaluing yourself, even if you really enjoy a brand. Believe me, it's hard, but hopefully over time, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with advocating for yourself, and the more able you will be to figure out where that line is for you and what feels good to you. I have one more question about sponsorships before we move on, and this was about the etiquette in talking to brands in emails, in DMs, whether you're asking for a partnership or just interacting with someone from a brand. For this, I would just say be polite and professional. If you've ever worked in a professional setting or had to send emails in a professional setting, follow those general rules. Be courteous, use their name, sign off, be friendly, and use proper punctuation, all of the basic things when it comes to writing professional emails. If you'd like to see an example email similar to what I would send if I were reaching out to a brand for the first time from my end, then you can check out that resource booklet that is available for my patrons. Within that little downloadable booklet, I do have an example email of something you could send to a brand if you were the one to reach out. So those are sponsorships, about 10% of my income in 2021. If you have more questions about sponsorships, leave them in the comments down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Moving on to the next section, which is Patreon. And Patreon is currently my third biggest stream of income in 2021. Patreon is sitting around 12.5% of my income this year, and Patreon is probably one of my favorite streams of income, and it's one that I would highly recommend, especially for smaller creators. Patreon is 100% the reason why I could quit my day job and become a full-time YouTuber. There would have been no way that I could have made it happen if I hadn't had that small, loyal group of people who enjoyed my content enough that they wanted to support me, even $1 a month. And that little bit of extra income every month that was a lot more reliable than AdSense or sponsorships was what took me over the edge and made it possible for me to pursue YouTube as a career. Patreon is a website that allows you as a creator to interact with fans on a more personal level. You can provide rewards and they can pledge at a certain tier, a certain amount of money every month to support you and to get those exclusive rewards. Your Patreon income will likely fluctuate every month. There's always new people joining and people who are leaving for various reasons. But even with that fluctuation, for me, Patreon has been one of the steadiest income streams I've had since I started making money as a creator. The best part by far with Patreon, though, is the ability to build those deeper relationships with your audience. My favorite part of having a Patreon is the Discord server that I created. Getting to just hang out and chat with my patrons and build relationships, get to know each other, support each other, talk about our interests, recommend books and songs and movies, and just talk about our days. It's been awesome, and I highly recommend it, especially for smaller creators, because that bond that you build with your die-hard audience that are really there for you, it's honestly priceless, and that support is incredible. And the fact that you can give support back on an individual basis, on a one-to-one basis with people is really incredible. There are lots of ways that you can structure your Patreon. You can offer a single tier or a bunch of tiers. I personally have 3 right now, but the options are pretty endless. This is a question I was asked a lot, which is how to assess and price Patreon tiers. And it's a really hard one to answer because it's really going to depend on you, and everyone's answer to that is going to be different. But I will say that my personal philosophy is to err on the side of offering more rather than less for the price of a tier. So I am always so blown away by the fact that anyone wants to pay me out of their pocket to support me and to have more access to me. And I want that monthly payment to feel so incredibly worth it. So for each tier, I try to offer multiple rewards that are worth more than the cost by far. That is my hope anyway. Erring on the side of offering more rather than less is probably always a good thing as far as fostering that positive relationship with your patrons. Although I will say, if you do offer too much, if you go too far in that direction with really low level tiers, you can burn out pretty easily because it can be a lot more work than you might have expected to fulfill all of those rewards. And if the tier levels are pretty low, especially if you have a smaller number of patrons, you can end up doing a lot of work, many hours of work on Patreon related tasks or rewards for a very small amount in return monetarily. And you do still have to eat and pay your rent. Remember that. So you have to find kind of a happy medium. And I would recommend, if you're just starting, I would tell myself this if I was starting over with Patreon, starting with a single tier is a good idea. Start with a single tier that's maybe slightly lower in the $1 to $3 range, something that is more accessible to the vast majority of your audience, and start with rewards that are a little bit easier or quicker to complete. Still rewards that have value. You don't want to under deliver, but things that you can reasonably do, even if you ended up getting a bunch of patrons all at once. And then once you've been doing this for a while, you can realize, okay, maybe I can add a couple more rewards at this tier, or maybe I can add a couple new tiers that are a little bit higher priced and offer rewards that require a little bit more time and effort from me. Moving gradually is definitely my number one recommendation when it comes to Patreon. But regardless, I would highly recommend Patreon if you are trying to figure out income streams for yourself as a creator. It can be a much more steady source of income, and it is definitely one of the most rewarding parts for me of being a creator at all, that Patreon community. So definitely consider Patreon if you haven't, and if you have more questions, leave them down below. So we've covered 3 of my streams of income, and now we've come to affiliate income, which, as you can see, is the biggest piece of the pie in this past year, over 60% of my income in 2021. Now, affiliate income was a bit of an outlier this past year. I was on the Art Journal of Design team for the vast majority of the year, and I also launched a collaboration with Art Journal that I designed, and that also skewed the data this year in a way that is not a regular occurrence. But even though my affiliate income was an extra big piece of the pie this year, it has always been a bigger piece than I expected. And I think a lot of people undervalue affiliate income, or are confused by it and avoid it, or don't really utilize it to its full potential and don't really see much of a return. And affiliate income can be very lucrative, but I think there are a couple things you have to keep in mind for that to be the case. My biggest advice for affiliate income and having success working as an affiliate is to join fewer programs that are more aligned with you as an individual and as a creator. If you join every program in existence for mattresses and shoes and light bulbs and barely put any effort into any of them because you're not particularly passionate about them, or they're not tied to the niche that you create in, they're not particularly relevant to your audience, you're not going to see a lot of return. But if you join a couple affiliate programs that create products that you use regularly, that are relevant to your life, that you love, that you can use naturally in your videos over and over again, and that your audience is going to want, that they are already reaching for, that they already love, or are very easily convinced to try and will then love, that is the kind of program you want to be part of. And for me, as a predominantly bullet journaling YouTuber, that is notebook companies. And the biggest piece of my affiliate piece of the pie by far is Archer and Olive. Finding a company that you really align with, whose values you align with, and whose products you can stand behind 100% is so important when it comes to success working with affiliate links. Now, I've been going on about affiliates in this way. You might not even know what affiliate links are. So affiliate programs, affiliate links are ways for brands to use individual people as essentially freelance marketers. And they do that by giving someone either a specialty link that tracks traffic, or both a link and a specialty coupon code. That person shares a product with their particular link or their particular coupon code. Someone purchases through that link or with that code, and the brand then kicks back a commission to the person who shared it, to the affiliate, for facilitating a sale. A really basic example, imagine there's a company that makes the most beautiful stickers you've ever seen in your life. They're $100 per sticker because they're made of 24 karat gold. And in producing their sticker, they spend $50 to make the sticker, and when they sell it, they make $50 in profit. But say they don't have a big audience, not a lot of people know about these incredibly expensive stickers, so they find some people who are willing to work as affiliates, and they give them a link and a code, and they say, hey, share this code with your audience. If they use this code, they will get this $100 sticker 10% off. So they'll only pay $90 for this incredible sticker. And because we're grateful that you brought us a new customer, we'll also give you 10% as your commission, as your affiliate earnings. So in this case, the company, instead of making $50 on a sale, they only make $30 because they're charging $10 less to the customer and they're paying $10 to the affiliate, but they're still making that profit, and maybe they're getting significantly more customers than they would have otherwise because someone is spreading the word, essentially doing their marketing for them. So that's basically what affiliate marketing is. That's what affiliate links are. You likely have seen them in YouTubers' description boxes. Many YouTubers use them. There are some really common programs that are well known and used often, like Amazon Associates, but there are also individual brands, individual companies who have affiliate programs like Archer and Olive's affiliate program. But I truly believe that if you want to see success with affiliate programs, your best bet is to focus on 1 or 2 or maybe 3 at a time. Really narrow in on your focus and choose companies that you really love, really stand behind, and are likely to use over and over and over in your content, to share frequently, and to be excited to share frequently. As part of the resource booklet for my patrons to go along with this video, I have a little document that I typed up to actually help out fellow Archer, and all of affiliates with working with affiliate links and being part of an affiliate program, finding success as an affiliate. So that little helpful guide that I wrote is going to be part of that as well. But of course, if you have any more questions about affiliate programs, affiliate links, leave those in the comments down below and I'll try to get to them. And now we've come to the final piece of the pie, my shop. I do have a tiny little sticker shop at plantbasedbride.com. And as you can see, it is 0.5% of my income, a very tiny percentage. My shop is sort of a labor of love, very much on the side, but something that I enjoy doing. Many people have a shop as sort of their main income that supports their content creation or their YouTube channel. Though I will say that running a sticker shop is a lot of time and effort and can have quite a few costs associated with it. So that's something to keep in mind if you're thinking about starting one. You can host your shop through something like Etsy or on your own website, as I do. And the boiled down, super simple version of the process here is purchasing the supplies you need, the cutting machine, a printer, all of the things you need to make your stickers. You have to design your stickers, figure out the layout, figure out how you're going to print and cut them. You need to shoot photos, create marketing for them, create product listings, get the word out about your shop, take orders, take payments, deal with customer service, print and cut your stickers, pack them and ship them, and everything in between. It is quite the process. It is starting your own small business, and it's definitely a lot of work. So those are all 5 of my income streams. And I will say, if you are trying to make it as a full-time creator, your best bet is to diversify your income. If you're solely relying on Google Adsense or solely relying on sponsorships, a hard month is going to be really, really hard. Things can shift drastically from month to month. Things can fluctuate wildly. And also, especially with sponsors, as I mentioned, payments can come in really late. So the more buckets you have, the more hats you wear, the more chance you have to have some stream of income at least at all times, even if it's ever changing, which can help you to stay afloat through harder months or years when the global situation goes a little off the wall. Being a content creator and working for yourself this way is not a steady income. It is not reliable. You don't get health insurance. You don't get paid vacation. It has the potential for a big reward, but it also comes with a lot of risk. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. And it's not something that everyone is going to enjoy or be able to handle that constant fluctuation and the stress involved. The final piece of this whole puzzle is actually getting paid. And when it comes to sponsors and brand deals, that's going to involve invoices. I would highly recommend that you come up with a basic template for an invoice that has all the information you need, that you can quickly swap out the relevant information to send as a PDF to a brand once you've published your sponsored video, to make sure that you can get paid on time. Make sure that you include all the information they request in that first invoice so that you do get paid, because you don't want to find out a month and a half after you sent your invoice that you were missing some piece of information they needed, and you have to send that to them and wait another 45 days. It's happened to me. As for accepting the payments, I would highly recommend you check out Wise as a service. I used to use PayPal exclusively, but if you are accepting payments in a currency that is not your own, which is typically the case for me, I live in Canada and my main currency for life is Canadian dollars, but the vast majority of the brands that I work with are based in the United States and pay in USD. And that will be your experience no matter where you live in the world, that likely most of the brands that are going to sponsor you are going to be paying in USD. And I was really frustrated using PayPal as my main receptacle for payments, because PayPal is pretty notorious when it comes to fees and not so great conversion rates. And I was actually losing a lot of money by using PayPal to accept payments and convert the currency. So I switched to using Wise for as many of my payments as possible, and it's been a huge upgrade. They are way more upfront about their fees. They still do have some fees, but at least you know what they are, unlike with PayPal. And the fees are much lower and their conversion rates are a lot higher. And I did the math for several months when I first switched to make sure that it was actually worth it. And I ended up being able to keep a huge amount of money. I mean, hundreds of dollars more just in the difference in fees and the conversion rate. So if you are taking payments, please check out Wise. Please don't just use PayPal. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. Wise is also great because you can provide banking information without sharing banking information for maybe your personal checking account, and you can accept payments in any currency and convert it to any currency and quickly get it to your own bank. So Wise is amazing. I really wish I'd known about them earlier, which is why I am sharing about them right now, because I don't even want to think about how much more money I would have had in my pocket if I'd used Wise from the beginning instead of PayPal. But sadly, I didn't even know Wise existed. So I'm telling you, please check them out. If you use the link in my description box to sign up for Wise, you can get a free transfer up to $800 Canadian. So check it out. There is an example of using an affiliate link right there, right in the video. You're welcome. The last thing I want to touch on before I end this video is taxes. And this is a question I got a lot. How do you pay taxes? How do you figure out what can be written off? What are your legitimate business expenses? How do you even begin to deal with taxes? And I wish I could help you, but I am not a tax expert. I am also not an accountant or particularly amazing with money. I'm just a person who works for herself and tries my best to keep track of my money and pay my taxes properly. So my advice to you is to familiarize yourself with your local tax laws. Talk to an accountant if you need to. Figure out what expenses are legitimate business expenses in your area, what you can write off and what you can't. Work with an accountant to do your taxes if you don't feel like you are able to do them on your own properly. And also, please put aside money for taxes every time you get paid, especially if you've never worked a job where taxes are not automatically taken off before you get your paycheck. You don't want to end up with a huge tax bill and not having saved any money for it. So I definitely recommend doing some basic calculations, figuring out where you will likely sit as far as your tax rate, and taking that percentage off every time you get paid, putting it in a separate account and not touching it, so that when tax season comes around, hopefully you'll have enough money just sitting there ready to pay your taxes. No stress. Okay, it's still stressful because tax season is stressful for everyone, but you know what I mean. Far less stress. So there you have it. That is how I make money as a YouTuber. That is my attempt to answer as many of your questions as possible. I get so many questions about so many different aspects of this all of the time in DMs and comments. And I really wanted to create a video that would hopefully be a good jumping off point for those of you who are content creators or maybe are wanting to become a content creator, trying to figure out how to get into this world and hoping to get paid for your time, which is totally reasonable. It can be hard as a creative to believe that, but it's true. You deserve to get paid for your time and your effort and your expertise and your creative vision. So don't sell yourself short. Diversify your income. Dip your toe in a bunch of different pools. I'm running out of metaphors, but you know what I mean. Value yourself and stand up for yourself. Stick up for your value as a creative person, and good things will happen. Once again, if you want the resources mentioned in this video, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you can get the full resource kit that goes along with this video with all of the little goodies I mentioned, including the example media kit, the example email template, an example invoice, my top tips for working with affiliate links, and more. And if you have any questions at all, leave them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this little 4-part series on the behind the scenes world of being a YouTuber. This was really challenging, but also really rewarding to create. And I truly hope it was helpful for those of you who are interested in this weird and wonderful world. Don't forget that this is only day 4 of 12 of Plantmas. We have so many more videos to go, so come back here tomorrow for day 5. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you really soon in the next one. Bye, friends.